The Little Mermaid, our final trailer for today. Adrienne, were you a big
Yes,
Little Mermaid fan growing up? Are you excited for this
huge,
film?
huge fan. I had her official Barbie, which at the time, like at the Disney store, they don't make them anymore. And I cut all her hair off, and I regret it forever because I thought it would grow back, but I was wrong, obviously. No, Ariel was always my favorite Disney princess. I've seen it thousands of times, probably. I was really keen when I heard about the live action ones because I've enjoyed them so far for the most part. Um, this one dropped during the Oscars, and um, I was honestly really impressed. The only things I think I'm a bit apprehensive about are the casting for Eric because he seems very, very boyish. And in the original
Hmm.
cartoon, he's a bit more masculine, like I don't know, more manly. So in this one, he seems super, super tweeny. And then I think the only other thing was King Triton seemed a little bit reserved. In the original, I mean, obviously we got to see him for 2 seconds, but in the cartoon, he's like, "Oh, I'm King Triton and I'm angry and blah, 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 blah." So we'll see if he can bring that energy to the table. But I'm happy. I know some people were not keen on, a lot of people were like, damn, they did Sebastian wrong. But I mean, it's live action, so he does have to look like a crab. Like, what else can you do about that?
You know what? I was ready to come to this conversation like that. They did Sebastian wrong, but you're right. Like, how else do you make a crab? Like he's a freaking
Yeah.
crab. Of course, he looks like a
Yeah.
crab. Although he always looked like he had lobster elements to him. So he's a
Yeah,
confusing
he looked like a
character.
hybrid, hey. I guess it was the only way they were gonna get a full face on him, like properly. Because yeah, he doesn't really isn't really full crab in the cartoon. But Melissa McCarthy, I think, is gonna be dynamite as Ursula. She is amazing.
She is well cast. I think
Mm,
you could argue back and forth for a lot of the casting of this film, but her as Ursula
nailed it.
nailed it. Nailed
Mm.
it. Um, Going back to your point, I am realizing this trend with the Disney live action remakes.
Mm.
I'm just confused by it. Like they all have the same sort of visual aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, why? Like, why do are they trying to build an Avengers cinematic universe where they all have to fit together? Like,
I know what you
why they
mean.
why do they all go for this bizarrely realistic approach where it's like, the crab doesn't have to look exactly like a crab. The
Yeah.
Lion King, it's like they tried so hard to make it look like a National Geographic documentary.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
why? Like, you're a cartoon, you're Disney, embrace that. Don't be afraid of that, you know?
But do you think it'd
Um,
be too
Yeah.
similar to the actual cartoon then visually? That's the only thing, but I don't know.
it's funny because they are making these live action remakes. You are making it a bit hard. Like Beauty and the Beast, sure, fine, go ahead. It makes sense, I guess. But when you've got so many, like the original Mermaid cartoon, like Sebastian's eyes are popping out of his head. How do you translate that? I do feel like you could find a better middle ground visually,
Yeah.
but like that problem is not exclusive to Little Mermaid. That applies to most of the live action remakes. Like,
Mm.
again, to go back to Lion King, like they could have made it more cartoony if they wanted to, but they clearly don't. And I just come back to like, why? Why do they all have the same approach? And the only thing I could think of is like, are they meant to coexist in the same world? I don't understand this
Maybe.
choice.
I don't know. I guess like Pixar has like they've got their new style and they stick to that for everything now too. But I'm just thinking like imagine this poor guy who spent like 3 years doing Sebastian. He probably has no hair anymore. But like how hard of a job would that be? You're never gonna like please anyone, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see all the different maybe prototypes they had for what they were gonna do with him until they decided
Mm,
on this one.
that
That's
concept
hard.
art that concept art book would be really interesting to look at. I love the poster for the Little Mermaid movie. It looks beautiful. I also do agree with you about the casting of the king. He doesn't seem as larger than life. And watching this trailer, I can't help but think they sat down and they watched Aquaman. And they were like, all right, take notes, boys. Take notes about how the hair moves in the water and everything.
Interesting.
But it just seems disappointing because I've seen Avatar: The Way of Water. I see how beautiful you can look under the sea. And this does not look anywhere as beautiful as Avatar: The Way of Water.
A lot of people were saying that too. They were like, the animation on the hair in the water is just like, what are you doing?
But yeah, there's that, but also like, it's dark, it's murky, it doesn't feel bright and beautiful. It's very dark. There's so much shadows, such a big use of shadows, and just I don't know if you call it exposure, the contrast. It's very dark, and the animation it's based on is just so bright and colorful and full of life. So the whole visual aesthetic is very bizarre to me.
Confusing.
I've got no problems with I think it is interesting. I know a lot of people was a big hot topic online about the race of Ariel, and how people were like, well, she was this, typical pale skin, red hair girl on the thing. But it does make sense, like if you want to make it realistic, it's quote unquote, yeah, I get it. It's like the Caribbean. You're gonna have people with darker skin tones and stuff. But again,
is it set in the Caribbean?
I believe it's either Caribbean or Caribbean inspired.
I think it is.
But stuff like that, I don't worry about anyways, because it's like, it's a fucking mermaid film. Like, you can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
I could not give care less about, the color of anyone's skin playing Ariel. I think people are just upset that her hair isn't as red. They've like toned down the red in her hair because, the red hair is her iconic thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, they could have made it more red. I mean, they still have time. They can probably just make it a bit more red.
I just think everything needs to be just a little bit brighter. Like, I just want them to, and look, I want them to just go onto Avid and just up the exposure by 0.1.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Just up the exposure a little bit or something, Not that I'm trying to tell anyone how to do their jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm sure it'll be great. Look, as long as the songs sound great, they would have, at least that'll be a big tick. And the singing in the trailer sounds amazing. So hats off to you.